and welcome to the Met Office Weather Studio Live. It's Friday, it's 12:15. We're here at the Met Office HQ in Exeter, ready and raring to go to answer all your questions and to present the latest weather. I'm Aidan McGibbon.
And I'm Alex Deakin. Yes, thank you very much for being there. Thank you for joining us. It's been a bit hectic this morning, hasn't it? Lots going on, apologies if it's a bit fraught. But as you can imagine, it's been a lively morning, to say the least.
Yeah, just spotted that thing behind me, like thunderbolts. Relevant, because that's the main topic of discussion today when we're talking about the amber warning that the Chief has just issued for East Anglia and the southeast of England, and the severe thunderstorms that some places could experience this evening and overnight. The hit and miss storms, of course, not everyone will experience one. Even if you're in one of the warning areas, there are yellow warnings covering the rest of the UK. So we'll be talking about that. How long will this weather last? How high will the temperatures be this afternoon? That's another talking
issue.
point.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course, as always, we'll be answering all your questions.
Yes, please do keep your questions coming in, whether you're watching this live, whether you're watching this after the event. We do go through them, we do try and answer them at later dates, so do please keep your comments and your questions coming. Do hit that thumbs up button as well, and share the love. Let people know that we do this live every Friday, and let people know that the Met Office is all across social media as well. So yeah, if you could hit that like button, keep your comments coming in. There's lots to talk about this week, yeah, it's been a busy old morning. It's been a busy old week, isn't it? What have you been up to this week?
Yeah, a bit of everything really, forecasting the weather, but also talking to some interesting people about the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation. Some people might know that as the Gulf Stream, I should say.
Easy mistake to make.
Everyone makes that mistake, even the professionals. The Gulf Stream, of course, which is a wind-driven ocean current, but it's one part of the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation, otherwise known as the AMOC, and I've been talking to people about that because we are making a video on it. A lot of you have asked questions about the AMOC and what could happen to it, so we've been covering that in detail. But it's a difficult video to make because it's a complicated area of discussion.
Yeah.
There's a lot of various scientific papers that we've got to digest and summarise and try and get a grip of, and so that's what we've been doing this week.
Tricky, is it? Because you're trying to make an evergreen video, but the science is evolving all the time on it as well. So you know, the theories could quite easily change in 12 months' time. So you're getting a lot of input from the scientists, which adds to the complications. So yeah, it's been a busy week for you. We've also posted this week Honor's video about interpreting the forecast, which is really quite relevant actually this afternoon. So that went out on YouTube last week, but we can see a clip from that now.
The map layers are a great way to help provide a clear visual representation of weather patterns and forecasts, making it easier for you to understand changing weather conditions in real time. For example, when it comes to dealing with showers, the radar feature on the Met Office app can be a game changer. Instead of relying on the hourly symbols, which show a shower icon for each hour, radar lets you track the rain in real time. You can actually see where the showers are, how fast they're moving, and whether they'll hit you, giving you a much clearer idea of when you're likely to get wet. Sometimes showers can pop up almost anywhere, much like bubbles on a pot of boiling water. With radar, you can stay ahead of them and plan your day better, whether you need to grab an umbrella or hold off on that outdoor activity.
Really interesting stuff, and yeah, Honor's advice there to look at the radar and the forecast rainfall on the Met Office app. That will be key during the rest of today for watching developments over northern France into the Channel and seeing where these showers and thunderstorms go, because really we won't have certainty about exactly where these are going to hit until they start kicking off over northern France. It's one of the trickiest situations to forecast in the UK. Snow in the winter, these kinds of thunderstorms that you get coming up from the continent in the summer, really tricky.
Quite hard to forecast, also quite hard to message, because we put warning areas out where there is the potential for thunderstorms, and we had comments earlier this week that people didn't see a thunderstorm. They were in the thunderstorm warning area, assuming the forecast went wrong. But thunderstorms are always hit and miss. You're not everywhere in those warning areas are going to see torrential downpours, and it's quite unusual for the Chief to issue this amber warning today in particular. And the reason he has issued it, is keen to issue it, was because he was so concerned about the potential impacts, because it could be one of those storms that does quite a bit of damage with lots of lightning, torrential rain and gusty winds. But it's far from certain, because things will be developing this afternoon. It's not watching a weather front or a system out in the Atlantic that's already formed and is 6 hours away. This is a storm system that hasn't yet formed, and we'll be watching closely over northern parts of France to see those developments. It could still, go somewhere slightly different. It could still be much weaker, so there's still a bit to play for. So it's unusual for us to issue an amber warning, but the potential severity of it warrants that amber weather warning, and we'll talk more about that in a moment.
Exactly. We've had lots of questions about where the thunderstorms will hit, and we'll take a look at the map in a minute. So yeah, we'll be addressing. People have asked about Bristol, the ferry between Poole and Guernsey this afternoon. Lots of questions about thunderstorms, West Midlands. So yeah, we'll be taking a look at the exact location that the models are suggesting at the moment. But bear in mind, it's not one of those where you look at the map and say that's exactly where that thunderstorm will occur at that time. It's very much an evolving situation.
Zaloga Gaming is asking, where did you get your shirt? They love it. And on that subject, linked to a previous question from last week's live from Kevin Traynor. Why not call it the 10-day forecast instead of the 10-day trend? It's not a fashion show. Well,
It's not entirely a fashion show.
It's not entirely a fashion show, but there are fashion elements to it. But the reason we don't call it a 10-day forecast is because it is different. We don't want people to think that you're going to get the full details for 10 days. It is a trend. It is what people are looking at here at the Met Office, what our medium-range meteorologists are interpreting, what could happen. It is far from definitive at that kind of range. We try and go in a bit more details for days 2, 3, 4 if we can, but it's more about the uncertainty. So it is just a trend. Which way is our weather trending? Because for days 7, 8, 9, 10, you really can't be specific about individual days and certainly for individual locations. It's more of a flavour. So that's specifically why we didn't call it a 10-day forecast and why we call it a 10-day trend. Also, we like a little bit of alliteration, don't we? So that was a good question from last week. That is the answer to that one.
And another question from JPJG. 86. Another excellent deep dive, Alex. Thank you.
There was lots of nice comments. Thank you we do read them, and that was very kind, the comments on the deep, even though there was a couple of mistakes in there, but I won't go into those.
Why don't you put the wind speeds on the weather maps rather than just the arrows?
Well, because it's just more information, right? So we can now show the wind by the speed of the arrow. So they animate at the speed relative to the speed of the winds, and
the size
of the arrow represents that as well. So if you put numbers on, A, it's very descriptive about that's what the wind is doing in a certain location, and B, it's just extra information that can be a bit distracting and take you away from the weather, where the wind isn't always the story. When the wind is the story, then we will put numbers on, we'll try and quantify it. I can't tell the difference between a 15-mile-an-hour wind and a 12-mile-an-hour wind either. So it's trying to find that balance between not overloading any graphics and information, but also trying to be relevant. If you do want to know what the winds are doing in your location, then they are on the app. So that's a good place to go for specific winds.
And also, obviously the wind speeds are really important for some people, sailors and people who go surfing and so on. And so for that kind of information, given how important the winds are, it's worth bearing in mind that the winds are highly variable across the country. So the wind at, say, Sidmouth Beach would potentially be very different to the wind at Exmouth because of different areas of different exposure and so on. And so in those kinds of situations, if the wind is really important to you, you can find that kind of hyper-localized information on the app. But for many other people, it's just about how the wind feels. Is it making it feel colder? Is the direction important? All that stuff. So we cover that in the general forecast, but of course, for precise wind speeds for people who really need to know, then that kind of really localized detail is available elsewhere.
I think that question was from Yesnik5156 actually. So the question from JPJG86 was about the polar vortex. What if the polar vortex collapsed? Well, JPJG, the polar vortex does collapse every spring. So the polar vortex is only in place through the late autumn and into the winter months. So the polar vortex is spinning high in the air above the poles, and it forms only in winter, and it does collapse through the spring and the summer. So that's a perfectly natural phenomenon that happens every year. So yeah, that answers those questions from last week. But we've had loads of questions in this week as well, asking about festivals. Craigie boy, could we see a supercell tonight with the conditions? Well, that is kind of what we're looking at. supercell, sometimes called an MCS, mesoscale convective system. That is what we're focusing on, the potential for development across northern France. It's a kind of a cluster of thunderstorms, or bigger than one individual thunderstorms, not as big as a low pressure system, these MCSs, and they form bigger units of thunderstorms and creates very heavy rain. Lots of lightning is a classic with these MCSs, and that's what we're concerned about tonight. So yes, there is a pretty good chance of it forming over France, but again, as we'll talk about in a minute, the very nature of them, because they're so big, they interfere with the weather patterns, and they confuse the models because they're actually going so big and so broad. Their cloud cover interrupts the flow, so actually they interact with the weather and disrupt the weather pattern. So they're really tricky to pin down and nail, and the devil is always in the detail, particularly at any kind of range, long range. It's very hard to nail.
Yeah, because they start off small. So they start off with a very small thunderstorm over northern France. The exact location of that would be hard to pin down because it will depend on really subtle differences in temperature and humidity and moisture availability and so on. So they'll start off really small. Then they'll get bigger and bigger, upscale into these huge things that also have downdrafts, and those downdrafts will kill off the development of other thunderstorms. And so it's entirely possible in these situations that somewhere that is in the risk area for thunderstorms gets nothing because the thunderstorm happened a few miles away and the downdrafts are inhibiting the growth of thunderclouds in that location.
Good question, though. Keep them coming in. One more thing I just want to mention about this week, because I had a lovely message from Lynn McCandlish, who is a lecturer of geography and environmental science, and she sent me a picture of them, because we were talking about merchandise the other week for the Weather Studio Live, and she sent me a picture of a mug that she got from the Met Office in the early 90s when she was on work experience here, and it's, there you go, it's a storm in a teacup, I think, on it. So yeah, a bit of merch there. And I'm just thinking of, when we're thinking about our merch for these Weather Studio Lives, that should be included. But a lovely message from Lynn, and she uses the deep dive and the 10-day trend to help with her lecturing of her students. So thank you very much for that, Lynn. I did say I'd mention that, so thank you. Right, any more questions coming in?
Yeah, there's a question about what's been the highest temperature recorded in the UK so far this year. That's from Weather Fans Michael. And the answer is 29.3 Celsius. I think that was Kew Gardens, all the way back on the 1st of May. That must be unusual to have the highest temperature in May recorded on the 1st of May, given how much temperatures increased through the month.
I think it was the warmest wasn't it the warmest 1st of
That's
May
right.
as well
that
we'd recorded. We don't tend to do daytime records, but it was quite unusual, wasn't it? So yeah, I think it was the warmest. So yeah, 29.3 is the temperature at the moment. Could we beat that today? Let's have a look. I'm going to get to the board because, yeah, that is going to be close, I think. The temperatures somewhere in this region to the north of London, that's often where we see the highest temperatures in this zone, and we could easily get to 28. Whether we get beyond 29, I think it's going to be close. So it's something that we'll be keeping an eye on. If you follow us across social media, we'll be posting about that this afternoon, if anywhere in this area. It's often in the Cambridge area. That's likely to be the top temperature. But again, it will depend on cloud. And again, if you get these storms coming in, I don't know why that went black. If you get these storms coming in, they can often send a layer of high cloud around, and that can suppress the temperatures because it just dims the sun by a touch. And that is the difference between, a degree or so. So yes, we could be getting close to it certainly this afternoon, so make sure you're following us across social media to see if we break that record for this week. Doesn't like it today, does it? It's having a moment. It's
electrical
the electrical, yeah,
in the atmosphere.
The electrical nature, and there are some thunderstorms not too far away from us here in Devon at the moment. So let's take a look a little bit more detail about what we're talking about today. We've had a lot of questions about it at the moment, but if we just zoom in a little bit. This morning, we issued an amber weather warning for thunderstorms for overnight and into the early hours of Saturday morning. So Friday night and Saturday, an amber thunderstorm warning for parts of East Anglia and the southeast. And because we're particularly concerned about the intensity of thunderstorms, a lot of lightning, large hailstones and gusty winds possible in this area, likely to cause some disruption if it does happen. Now, as always with thunderstorms, not everywhere in the warning area will catch these downpours. it's an area where we could see potential disruption. We've got amber, as I said, because of the potential severity, but we do need to keep an eye on developments across France this afternoon, because that is basically where our storm is coming from, and it could still form in a slightly different place. It could still, wouldn't take much for it to move a little bit further east, and then we wouldn't see too many impacts across this part of the world. But we are concerned. The amber warning's in place from 8 o'clock tonight until 5 o'clock in the morning. Torrential rain could cause some local flooding. As I said, there's lightning strikes and hail and gusty winds, a potential extra hazard. But that isn't the only warning we have in place. We have yellow warnings for Wales and southwest England through Friday, and increasingly they spread north as we go through the night. So we have a yellow warning extending up across northern England and Scotland for thunderstorms that are likely through the night and again on Saturday. Now, these storms could also cause some problems, but we're particularly concerned, to say, about that amber warning area where there is a greater risk of lightning. We can show that on this chart here. This is the likelihood of lightning through this afternoon. You can see that zone. You can just about make out the southeast of East Anglia there. High risk of intense lightning across that southeastern corner through tonight. There is still the likelihood of some in the thunderstorms further west as well, but a greater risk here, greater probability, greater chance of lightning in that zone in and around the southeast of England and into parts of East Anglia. That's the lightning risk. Let's take a look at the probabilities of seeing 30 millimetres of rain, and again picking out that southeastern corner for the greatest chance of seeing heavy rain. That's 30 millimetres of rain in just 3 hours, so it's the intensity of the rain that could cause some problems. There is a risk further west as well, but it's not as intense, not as high. One more thing I wanted to show you. This is from a combination of computer models, particularly using the ECMWF data, the European data, showing the risk of hail. And you can see here the greatest risk of hail, 60%, sorry, 40 to 60% in this dark maroon layer there. That's across northern France. So this is the UK here. So the risk goes to that green zone there across the southeast. I think actually if we play, I can zoom in a little bit on that, and we can see that the risk further, there's the southeast, into that blue zone there, so 15-25% chance of some significant hail across that southeastern corner. But the greatest risk for the large hailstones is going to be across that northern France area from this intense thunderstorm, this MCS, that we are likely to see develop during the afternoon. So the potential for some significant hail greater than 5 centimetres, that's in that white outline there. So again, 20% chance of seeing 5 centimetre hail. That is pretty beefy. So that zone there across northern France likely to bear the brunt of these hailstones, but there is the chance of some significant hail also across parts of the United Kingdom. So yes, a very heavy rain coming in, and we can take a look a little bit more detail about what we could see this afternoon if we look at the rainfall and how that is kind of in two zones. So this one across the west, still likely to drop quite a lot of rain as it moves northwards through the night. But you can see the angrier looking colours here on the map across East Anglia and the southeast, just an extra layer of intensity. And again, that is part of the reason why we've issued the amber weather warning. And if we show the spikes in that, you can see that in there. Now again, they will still be hit and miss, not everywhere in that zone seeing these spikes, seeing that intense downpour. Could be one of those ones where you get 30, 40, even 50 millimetres of rain in one location 5 miles away. You may not see much rain at all. But again, just showing the comparison with the intensity across, or the threat of the intensity across those eastern areas, slightly greater than west. That's why we've got that amber warning in place here. But still in that yellow warning area, which continues into Saturday, a continued risk of further heavy showers and the likelihood of further thunderstorms. So do keep up to date with the Met Office weather warnings, more details on all of that and what you could see on our app and of course on our website. Any more questions coming in, Aidan?
A few about the thunderstorms. Can you show us live lightning strikes? We have got lightning, haven't we, as one of the layers?
That's testing me. You'll have to guide me through
there
this.
And then
there we go.
Yeah. Actually, if you select the map that's on the left, further left, down to the bottom, there we go. You can zoom out. You might see some thunderstorms across Europe in the last 24 hours.
Oh, there's a few.
Some over southeast England there.
What was that? Oh yeah, there we go. 6 hours ago. up to the current day. So there's not that many at the moment. There's still in that clutch down across the Bay of Biscay.
You can see how they're moving a bit further north, aren't they?
Yeah, they are tracking north. Yeah, there's a better view of those. You can see them coming in there across the Bay of Biscay. So that's the live situation. If we put the radar on, and that was yesterday's rain. Get up to speed now, and you can see that, yeah, that clutch just off the edge of the radar there. Let's pause it. You can see just the edge of the radar there, so you're not really picking up the rain. It doesn't just stop there. It's not dry there. It's the edge of the radar. But you can see we've already got this finger of rain coming up across Cornwall, already quite wet here, and across the Channel Islands. But the main focus actually in this area here. That's where we're most likely to see that MCS developing and keeping a close eye on it. But yeah, lots going on with the weather. We've talked about those temperatures. What I didn't mention is actually how the temperatures are likely to dip off a little bit as we go through the next few days. We talked about that 29 degrees across the east, but it is really only the east seeing those 29 degrees. Elsewhere, it's quite warm, it's quite humid, but it has already turned cooler. And then if we go forward to Saturday, we can see that most places are a good few degrees cooler. Still quite warm and humid, and look at that. We could still get high 20s across eastern England tomorrow. The fresh air doesn't really get in here. It does turn cooler by Sunday, and a little bit less humid, a little bit fresher, and that means the nights will be a little bit easier. But of course, it takes a while for your house to cool down. So once your house is warmed up, it's not instant. Just because it gets a little fresher at night, it's still quite warm. And indeed, the warmth may well return as we go into next week. Look at this, temperatures back up, particularly again across the southeast and East Anglia. Back up into the mid-20s through next week, so it is likely to get warmer again. So yeah, if you're not a fan of the heat, good news for Sunday, it's looking a bit fresher. Father's Day, of course, and a lot of fine weather around on Sunday, but there'll still be some showers around. If we go through what's likely to happen on Sunday, still quite a few showers there on Sunday coming in, but we'll have lost the heat, we'll have lost the intensity. So these showers on Sunday, they won't be the same beasts that we're seeing today and tonight and tomorrow. They'll be more typical kind of showers on a westerly breeze going through a fresher field. Could still, pack a bit of a punch, but they won't be as intense as the downpours that we're expecting later today.
Natasha Snipes, I can answer this, has asked about CAPE levels. CAPE is convectively available potential energy. For those who are into that sort of thing, that level of detail, not everyone is, of course, but basically means the amount of energy that's available in the atmosphere to be released in a thunderstorm. And yeah, if you know about CAPE and you monitor this sort of thing, then you might be interested to know that the thunderstorms that we're expecting across East Anglia and the southeast, that's associated with CAPE, that is around 2,000 to 2,500 joules per kilogram. So some pretty high energy.
That's high.
Yeah.
That is quite high. Isn't it? Anything above 1,000 would be considered a pretty severe thunderstorm. And 2, 3. Sometimes you get kind of 4,000 in the States in particular, where you get those really big, and they often generate tornadoes. So that would be a kind of typical value, 4,000 for a really big storm across the United States generating tornadoes. But certainly, anything above 2 is pretty unusual for the UK. And anything above 1, 1.5 will be considered a pretty lively thunderstorm. I think I had some questions on the deep dive about CAPE actually, because I was talking about the T skew and the tephigram as it's known. And someone was asking about that, so it might be the same person asking those questions. But yeah.
And what else have we got? How fast will the thunderstorms be moving? They're pretty fast, aren't they?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. See if we can show where they're going from. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to measure them on here, but that's at 1,700, the other side of the channel. Let's do a rough calculation. And then by 2 o'clock in the morning, they're across northern parts of East Anglia and potentially into Lincolnshire as well. So
100 miles an hour?
Yeah, about that. No, that's a bit over the top. So from 5 o'clock to how far's that in 6, 9 hours?
Okay, 50 miles an hour.
You think? I'd say a little bit less than that. 30, 40. Anyway, we don't know. We'll work it out. We'll let you know.
More guessing.
More random guessing. Yeah. Good question, though. Good question.
Gareth Jones has said the hour-by-hour forecast for my area today was 0% rain and complete sun. However, we've had a few showers and it's mostly cloudy. Can you explain this? I can explain that you're possibly looking at a different forecast in the Met Office, because here's a fact. We never put 0% in our probability of rain. So probability of precipitation or chance of rain on the Met Office app and the Met Office webpage is never 0%. It's all, the lowest it goes is less than 5%, because meteorologists never say 0% or 100% of anything, and the highest it goes is more than 95%. So you're possibly looking at a different app if you're seeing 0% rain, and I don't know what area you're talking about either. With a name like Gareth Jones, maybe it's in Wales, but
Well, there's been some showers across Wales as well.
Yeah.
But what I would say is this kind of situation, your apps are going to be really unreliable, less reliable than normal, because of the nature of this kind of beast. I've already talked about the uncertainty about whether we see this big thunderstorm developing across France and heading northwards. The nature of thunderstorms, the nature of a southerly wind, the nature of the extra energy in the atmosphere because of the humidity, because of where the air is coming from. There is always more uncertainty in summer, and particularly when it comes to summer storms. So that is a caveat that I would always apply to if you're looking at your app. Do what Honor suggested earlier and check out the actual rainfall. And the Met Office has the current rainfall as well going into the forecast, and that is going to be a lot more useful, particularly in this kind of situation, than just looking at a symbol with a number on it.
Great stuff. Shall we do a quiz?
Oh, yes, it's quiz time. Let's do it.
I haven't told you what the topic is this week, have I? Because
no, lots going on.
I was worried.
Oh,
I was
right,
also worried that if I told you the topic, it's one of those that you could easily kind of look it up.
As if I would do that. As if I would do that. I know it's a picture quiz, though.
It is a picture quiz, so I'm going to show you 5 pictures,
right.
5 questions, multiple choice, and the theme is types of lightning.
Oh,
okay.
What?
Unusual types of lightning.
Types of lightning?
Rare.
And there's 5 questions?
Yeah. There are more than 5 types of lightning.
Wow.
And I'm not even talking about the basic types, cloud to ground, cloud to cloud.
Oh, right, I'm really
because that would be
struggle
too easy.
then. Yeah,
right?
that would be too easy. Okay, but there's pictures, right?
Yeah.
Who doesn't love a picture of some lightning?
Well, let's see the first picture.
Ooh.
And it's at the top there. You can see these orangey lines, and the question is, what is this type of lightning? Same question for all these images. And we've got a multiple choice, so Fantas, Sprites, Colas, or Dr. Peppers? Are these Fantas, Sprites, Colas, or Dr. Peppers? He's already sent me his answer on Teams. Thank you very much.
I think I did know that one. I've just had some, I didn't mention earlier the picture about the hail is from the European Severe Storm Laboratory. Thank you, Dan Rudman, who's just sent me that. He's our Deputy Chief today. He sent me those pictures. So the European Severe Storm Laboratory, if you want to check out those images, I should have name-checked them. So thank you for that. Hot off the press.
Nice Knack has said Fantas. Dan Blackaz has written Grease Lightning. Dobby Bobby has written Dr. Peppers. I don't know if you're being serious there. Most other people have said Sprites. In fact, 93% of the audience have said Sprites.
Wow.
So we'll see shortly whether you are right or wrong.
Ever
with
seen
that one.
those whatever they are?
No, they're exceedingly rare. I think very few people have seen them. Maybe a lot of pilots have seen them, because they're really high up, 50 to 90 kilometres in altitude, typically in the mesosphere layer of the atmosphere. Question 2, let's take a look at the next image.
Ooh.
Another very high, in fact this is even higher up, this is up to 90 kilometres above ground level.
Wow.
Resembling blue or purple tree-like structures, thought to be a form of high-altitude lightning connecting the storm directly to space. So similar to Sprites, these occur way up high in the atmosphere. They're really short-lived. So not only are they high up, but they're, fraction of a second they occur. And so they're very, very rare, even rarer than Sprites. Even rarer than the one in question 1. Everyone's had a go, haven't they? Question 2's multiple choice. Is it A, a blue starter, B, a blue jet, D, a gigantic jet, or D, C, a gigantic jet, or D, a jellyfish? Blue starter, blue jet, gigantic jet, or jellyfish?
That's
Lots
tricky.
of people saying blue jet. Blue Pepsi Lightning, Skip Lux has said.
I've not seen that before. That's brand new to me. I've never seen that before or heard about them. They're quite cool though, aren't they?
Stuart Baines, jellyfish. They do look like jellyfish.
They do look like jellyfish, but I think that's what you want us to think. I get more and more used to your questioning as we
Rusty
go through.
Warrior, SpaceX re-entry.
Wow.
Okay, image 3, let's take a look. Is this, it's not a picture, it's an illustration of a historical occurrence. Is it a red glow? That's A. Ball lightning, B. Is it C, St. Elmo's Fire, or is it D, Steve?
Ooh.
Red glow, ball lightning, St. Elmo's Fire, or Steve?
I don't think they knew about Steve when they were making illustrations like that.
Yeah. Steve is the name of an atmospheric phenomena, whether it's this one or not. Just so that you're not having a laugh here, making it up. So people have gone for ball
Dr.
lightning.
Pepper, which isn't. Spoiler alert.
Meteorite. It does look like a meteorite.
It does look like a meteorite,
but that
doesn't
wasn't one of the options.
Are they playing cards in that picture? What is it? It's kind of come in the room, isn't it?
These things do come in through windows,
really?
and they are incredibly rare. And I don't know whether anyone's actually taken a photo of one, hence the historical illustration. I think they're so rare. No one's actually taken a photo of them. They're really poorly misunderstood types of lightning. More on that in a moment. Question 4, let's take a look. Okay. Oh, it's difficult to see it actually, I just realised.
Especially
What
with
you're
my
looking at is
eyesight.
the ship's mast at the top of the ship. The things that are coming out of the
looks like fireworks.
the mast. Yeah. So, is this blue jet, blue starter, St. Elmo's Fire, or bolt from the blue? Blue jets, blue starters, St. Elmo's Fire, or bolt from the blue?
I don't know. I'm going to have to go with... I'll go with that, but I don't think that's right.
Okay. Lots of people have said St. Elmo's Fire. That seems to be the most popular.
Is it? I don't think that's St. Elmo's Fire. That's something.
Jay's Transport, bolt from the blue. 67% St. Elmo's Fire.
Ooh, well, another one.
And then the second most popular answer is bolt from the blue. Aidan's blue suede shoes. Very good, very good. Okay, final image. In fact, we've got 2 images just to show 2 different perspectives here. And the question is this a gnome or elf, pixies or trolls? Gnomes, elves, pixies or trolls? And in case you're wondering whether, we're looking at the ring here, by the way. There is another thing going on within the ring that is often associated with it. That's actually the thing from the first question.
I was going to say
but we're looking at the ring.
Right.
Gnomes, elves, pixies or trolls. And just in case you think I'm making up all of those answers, they are all types of electrical discharge in the atmosphere. Gnomes, elves, pixies and trolls are all names given to electrical discharges in the atmosphere. So which one is this?
Wow. Well, I've put my answers in. I'm not that confident. We shall see. I hope you do better than me at home.
Let's take a look.
What people are at.
Okay, you've not done too badly. You've not got them all right, but you've not done too badly.
Oh, that's good. That's good. As long as I don't get 0.
Lots of people have, well, a mixture of guesses actually from the audience. The most popular answer is pixies, 47%. and then elves 28%, and then trolls, and then gnomes. Right. Should we give away the answers?
Yes. Chris
Okay.
A says, no idea, but I've heard elves mentioned in relation to weather before, so he's gone for elves. Or Chris A has gone for elves. That's pretty much what I did as well.
Good shout. Good shout. Okay, let's take a look at question number 1, or the image number 1 again. And the options here were Fantas, Sprites, Colas, or Dr. Peppers. And we're looking at the very top there. You wrote Sprites, 93% of the audience wrote Sprites, and you are all correct, so congratulations. Sprites are large electrical discharges that occur high above thunderstorm clouds, 50 to 90 kilometres in altitude. And yeah, they shape like jellyfish or carrots, and they're triggered by powerful lightning strikes below.
Shaped like jellyfish or carrots?
Well, sometimes they're shaped like jellyfish, other times they're shaped like carrots, I guess.
Okay.
Or carrots with the hair on, what are they called? The furry bits on.
The tops, carrot
Yeah.
tops.
Carrot
yeah,
tops.
okay, I guess. All right, yeah, all right. I can have
Okay,
that.
image 1. Image 2. The options here were blue starters, blue jets, gigantic jets, and jellyfish. I can't remember what the
What did
audience
I
said
put?
there, but you put
I think that's wrong, isn't it? I put blue starter.
blue starters, which is a type of electrical discharge. But easy, I think most people said blue jets, and very close, and actually probably difficult to tell from the image itself. But gigantic jets are even larger than blue jets. So they're roughly the same thing, but gigantic jets are even larger. They go even higher in the atmosphere. So yeah, give yourself half a point if you put blue jets, because it's difficult to tell from the picture. But this is reckoned to be a gigantic jet, a rare, powerful lightning discharge that shoots upward from the tops of thunderstorms into the ionosphere, up to 90 kilometres high.
I've never heard of those before. It's interesting. Good. And Alex B has commented, Mr. Burkill, this quiz is very weather related compared to normal. So yeah, which is
Kind of went off piste in recent weeks.
last
didn't it?
couple of weeks with Shirtgate and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I think people are enjoying it. Good job. But I got that one wrong as well. So I'm 1 from 2.
Let's see image 3. So it was red glow, ball lightning, St. Elmo's Fire, or Steve.
Right. No, it's not Steve, as I said, because Steve's a relatively new phenomenon, isn't it? I said ball lightning just because it was a ball.
You're correct. It is ball
that's
lightning.
good. And that
Ball
goes into
lightning.
people's houses, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a very poorly understood phenomenon where glowing spherical object from the size of peas to several meters appears during thunderstorms. It can float around erratically, passing through windows, and then it vanishes with a pop. I've read about lots of historical occurrences of it, but you'd think that in this day and age, where everyone's got a phone camera, that we'd see actual images of it.
Yeah,
You'd
but-
think that but all I've seen are kind of historical stories and images. And there was a famous one in a church in Widdicombe and Dartmoor that caused all sorts of devastation and chaos from a couple hundred years ago. There's a plaque memorialising that. Yeah. So yeah, that's an unusual one, but congratulations.
Not just meteorology, we're getting
if you
history
got
as
that
well
right.
today. This is very educational stuff.
And by the way, if you got question 2 wrong, you weren't alone. Only 1% of people got gigantic jets, so
there you go.
congratulations. Okay, image number 4. Blue jets, blue starters, St. Elmo's Fire, or a bolt from the blue. You put...
Well, I put blue jet because I put blue starter for the other one. I'm guessing they're blue starters, are they those?
Nope, neither.
Oh, what are
St. Elmo's
Is that
Fire.
St. Elmo's Fire? I thought St. Elmo's Fire was over the horizon. What am I thinking of then?
I don't know. But St. Elmo's Fire, you
Green
can
flash.
get...
What's the green flash thing?
Is that Steve?
No, when the sun
where the
sets.
sun goes down.
And you get. I thought that was. Anyway, let us know.
If anyone at home knows, let us know. So St. Elmo's Fire happens. It can happen on the wings or the cockpit of an aeroplane. It's a line of plasma that emanates from the wing or a mast of a ship when the atmosphere is highly electrical. Bluish or violet glow that appears near pointed objects during thunderstorms. It looks like a fire, but it's actually plasma. So that's St. Elmo's Fire. And the final
I should have
image.
known that, shouldn't I, really? Sorry, go on. Last one.
So gnomes, elves, pixies and trolls, they're all types of electrical discharge in the atmosphere, but this one in particular was elves, and that stands for, scientists love acronyms, particularly if they've all got a common theme here, emissions of light and very low frequency perturbations due to electromagnetic pulse sources. So these are really fast expanding rings of light that occur 100 kilometers above the Earth, triggered by electromagnetic pulses from lightning. They are so rare that there's only one really good image of them from the surface of the planet, which is why the image is there. One of them's an artist's illustration, the other one's an image from the space station, I think. You know, you just really don't see them that well from the ground, and they last less than a millisecond, so you know, and they're 100 kilometers high, so you're really not going to see them from the ground, but you might be able to take a photo or a movie of them taken from space. So
there's half marks going on here. Why are people getting half marks?
Because I said if you got blue jets for question 2.
Oh, right, okay.
Did you get that? Or you
No,
got
I said
stars?
blue, yeah.
Because it's difficult to tell from the picture that it's a gigantic jet.
Okay.
It hasn't got a scale
Fair
on it.
enough. So some people are getting 4.5, 3.5. Jessica Drury, Bradley Baden got 4.5. Good work. Dean 301980, 4 out of 5. Good work, guys. Impressive. Impressive stuff. Good lightning knowledge. I was 3.
Not bad. Not bad. It is tricky because there's lots of these types of lightning, and you know, we're not specialists in that.
Renee Matthews is following space weather. Help me answer these, Grayley. There's a space weather video coming out soon. Recorded it a few weeks ago, so hopefully that'll be with us soon on our YouTube channel. So another reason to subscribe. Hit that thumbs up button as well while we're at it. Keep your questions, keep your comments coming in. Lots going to be happening in the atmosphere over the next 12 hours or so. But yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for taking part in the quiz and being involved in all of that. There's plenty going on. As I said, do keep up to date with the forecast, with those warnings, the amber warning for parts of East Anglia and southeast of England from 8 o'clock until 5 o'clock in the morning, but also yellow warnings covering East Anglia and the southeast, but also further west, that area extending up into parts of northern England and Scotland overnight tonight. So yes, potential for some pretty severe weather, but it does look like calming down a bit next week.
It does, yeah. Higher pressure starting to build in from the south gradually, so it's northern parts will stay changeable early next week. But yeah, it looks like there'll be a return to something a bit quieter, at least a bit warmer and more settled.
Yes.
Heading through next week.
Still too early to say anything about the following week, which is when Glastonbury is. There's a lot of attention because some computer models are going a bit crazy with temperatures around that time of year, but that's just one model. There isn't any point looking at that at this stage. It's too far ahead. The suggestions are higher pressure is more likely than not, so a decent chance it will be drier than average, but that's all we can say at this stage. But if you are going to Glastonbury or indeed anything else, then let us know and we'll try and give you a specific forecast. I think it's Le Mans this weekend. Someone did mention that in the comments as well, and I didn't mention it, and I said I would, so apologies for that, but I hope you're having fun if you're going to Le Mans. Download Festival could get some thunderstorms tonight as well. And if you're interested in longer range forecasts, you can watch our ensembles video, which explains why we don't just look at one computer model and look at many. We can put that in the chat as well. So that's an interesting watch if you're interested in ensembles.
Yeah, and well, enjoy your weekend, stay safe, stay up to date with the forecasts and warnings during the next 24 hours, 36 hours. Lively weather out there, but we'll keep you updated as always right here at the Met Office. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, all that stuff if you enjoy what you see here, and tell your friends about it, of course, as well. But we'll be back next week, or I will. I don't know about you.
I don't think it's me. I think it's you. I don't know who it is doing it next week.
If it's Honor, she said she always brings cakes in when she does it.
No, it's not Honor. No, I think it's you. It must be you and Mr. B.
Okay, well, he'll have to bring the cakes in then. And he's watching, so...
yeah, he is watching. He's also very good at making cakes, so that is good. I might come in if he's making cakes. But yes, it'll be you and Mr. B next week. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again soon.
Bye-bye.